What are some good internet rabbit holes to fall into during this time of quarantine? I've been down a rabbit hole to make sourdough bread. I'm fascinated now. I didn't realize how the process works. I saw some lady who's been using the same starter since the 1970s, and she got hers from a woman who used hers for the last 100 years. Edit. Heck, this thing really blew up. People are asking for links. As I'm sure there are thousands. This was what a friend shared with me that started me into this now black hole. Seems like a good lad making bread. I thought reading about the Death Valley Germans was super interesting and took a good few hours to read and do my own research. Edit. If it's asking for a login/password, that means the site is overwhelmed. I know it's frustrating, but I didn't realize it would get this much traffic. Try again in an hour or two, and it should be fine. Cannot recommend this one enough. I'd never heard of them until Reddit. A harrowing tale of how smart, sensible folks find themselves out of their depth, but only after the point of no return. How easy it is to go missing. Yes, this is an absolutely fascinating rabbit hole. Starting with a Reddit break in the restroom, I continued reading and reading for hours about them. Fascinating study, and the guy who broke the case has a great in-depth, easy to read write-up of it that is linked in the top comment. Highly recommend. Also related is the case of Geraldine Lagay, who stepped off the Appalachian Trail to go to the bathroom, got lost and was never found alive. I recommend the book, When You Find My Body, The Disappearance of Geraldine Lagay on the Appalachian Trail, which details the story as well as the fantastic search and rescue efforts that were made. There's a 52-page preview available on Google if you want to check it out first. I have family who live not from where Lagay was found. It really shook the community up, knowing that someone could vanish into thin air, with search aircraft and teams of SAR volunteers combing through the forest, only for them to be a couple hundred feet off the trail all along. It was an eerie case. The Delphi murders. If even a minor percent of Redditors took 1 minute to view this video/audio, especially if you live in the Midwest or know people in the Midwest, there's a good chance this case could be solved today. Quick summary. 2 young teens, Abby Williams, 13, and Libby German, 14, had a day off from school and went for a walk on a local trail/bridge in the small town of Delphi, Indiana on February 13th. 2017. After walking across an abandoned railroad bridge in a desolate area of the trail system, a man followed them across the bridge and forced them down a hill. He murdered them. The crazy thing is, Libby had been filming Abby with her phone and was able to secretly capture the start of her encounter with her killer on video before putting the phone in her pocket. Police have released part of the video/audio. It's not very good quality, but it is the best they have, and captures the killer and his voice. Both NASA and Disney assisted in editing it to make it clearer, but there wasn't a lot to work with. But police really want people to focus on his movement. Even without looking at someone's head, you could pick out a family member or close friend by their mannerisms, body, way they move, etc. And you would obviously know their voice. There are a lot of ridiculous conspiracy theories out there that police have debunked, so don't fall down *THAT *hole. Stick to what the FBI/state police have released. The killer is a white male between 18 and 40. They believe he lives locally in the area, previously lived in the area, or has family there. This isn't just a place you stumble upon. Witnesses who passed him on the trail prior said he had reddish brown hair and likely between 5 feet 6 inches and 5 feet 8 inches. They were not catfished or speaking to anyone online about a meeting. In other words, this was a horrific stranger encounter. They weren't lured or anything. 2 sketches were released that both look quite different. Police now say the suspect most likely looks like a combination of the 2 sketches, but again, I think the most important thing is to watch the actual video Two of the witnesses that helped with the original sketch said they were unhappy with parts of the first sketch and don't believe the second sketch looks anything like the man they saw. The witnesses said they were unable to provide an accurate description on the lower half of the man's face, since he had a white scarf wrapped around his lower mouth/chin area. There are multiple people out there who know this man. They grew up with him, maybe work with him, maybe he's their brother-in-law. But there's a good chance they just haven't seen the video yet. The more people who see the video, the higher chance this **STARD will be recognized. I always encourage people to watch it and share it so someone else sees it. The families of these girls are desperate for answers. If you have a tip you can remain 100% anon and ML it. There's also a $250k reward. Edit. If you're looking for a new podcast to listen to during quarantine, there are two that I thought were very well done on this. Family and Law Enforcement gave a lot of interviews on both. One is called Scene of the Crime Delphi, the other is Down the Hill Podcast. There is also a subreddit that has a timeline of the events, witness encounter summaries, that is very well done. This case made a real impact on me, and I want a resolution for these girls so badly. There's a dangerous person out there who killed two little girls in broad daylight. I'm afraid he will do it again, and another family will go through this horrible pain. It's so solvable. It's almost a numbers game, because all it takes is the video/audio getting seen by one person who knows him and is willing to tip it in. On YouTube, I have been viewing this channel named Horror Stories. It's a collection of short but brief real-life horror stories of people who died in the most horrible, unimaginable, and unsuspecting way. No clickbaits, on-point storytelling. Mr. Nightmare is also pretty good at real-life scary stories. He has a great voice for telling scary stories, and makes good use of stock images and stock video to create atmospheric visuals. Mr. Nightmare is my favorite, but if you like that then you might enjoy Corpse Husband. The stories aren't the same, but they are true horror stories and most are stock images and such. But sometimes he does animated videos which are really good, because the animation is dark and creepy, which is perfect for the stories. I recommend this because it's become obvious that part of the problem right now is how many people didn't do well in school, me included. Big part of why I love this site, or did not have the opportunity, and thus tune out valuable information they don't understand. I wish more people took advantage of the fact that scholastic information is free, or close to it. Just gotta look for it online nowadays. Before the internet you had to be lucky enough to afford education and live in a place where that kind of opportunity was available. Most people in the past didn't get to change their future as easily as we can. My father's hope as a kid in the 70s was to, one day, be rich enough to have other people go to the library and find out things for him. Google's a fair bit cheaper. This and Crash Course on YouTube is also a fun YouTube channel to binge. They have series on tons of topics and always adding new ones. They're pretty funny and easy to follow. Good for light watching. Learning history is my best way to time pass. Currently, I'm diving deep into pyramids. It's pretty damn interesting to know how they did that stuff. Imagine lifting 2.3 million blocks each, the weight of elephants, to that height, and that too so many years ago, when humans were. I would like to share a few things that I learned. Maybe you might like it, and go deep into it. Here you go. Pyramid of Giza actually has 8 faces. From ground, viewers will not see the indentations and hence, they can only see 4 faces. In order to see the indentations and all 8 faces of the pyramid, one needs to go aerial, and that too when the lighting conditions are perfect to make the 8 faces visible. The 8 faces of the Great Pyramid are visible only during autumn equinox and spring equinox during dawn, as well as during sunset. Those are the times when the sun casts a shadow on the pyramid, making the indentations properly visible from air. You can see the 8 faces of pyramid here. Temperature controlled engineering. Also, inside the pyramid, the temperature is maintained at 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature never changes, and is actually equal to Earth's average temperature. Unimaginable accuracy. The Egyptians used 2 constellations to align their pyramids in a north-south direction. One was Big Dipper and the other is the Small Dipper. The tombs are aligned in north-south with an accuracy of up to 0.05 degrees. This happened in an era where modern-day precision tools were not even imaginable. Alignment with constellation and its relevance to equinox cycle. Every 26,000 years the pyramid will align itself with 4 constellations which represents the equinox cycle. It is believed, just believed by the Egyptians, that every around 26,000 years something devastating happens on Earth. I'm not sure, but I guess it is when they align. This was believed to be a warning. We are currently close to it. There is a error of maybe 100 years in that. Note, as mentioned by a user below, this point is just a prophecy. And the pyramid aligns every 26,000 years is the mystery as it matches with the equinox cycle. Don't ask me how did they know? That's the mystery. There are pyramids all over the world. There are few in China, but government does not give access to it. One interesting pattern that I found was the stone laying. It was the same in Mexico, Peru, and Egypt. It's surprising how that was the case when people in those days didn't have the means to travel oceans. This is just my belief, could be wrong, as a Redditor mentioned that they did have the means to travel. The pyramid was not built by slaves. Also, inside the pyramid, the temperature is maintained at 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature never changes, and is actually equal to Earth's average temperature. I'm not convinced that's engineering or even intentional. If you have a sufficiently large mass with low thermal conductivity, like a big pile of stone, over millennia it's going to reach equilibrium with the surrounding temperature, and have a large enough time constant, that the day-night cycle won't shift it very much. Someone in another thread recommended the YouTube channel Geography Now. I have been binge watching it for the past week. Really entertaining way to learn about all the countries in the world. One of my favorite things to do is look around on Google Earth at an area you never plan on traveling to. Zoom way in and learn about the small villages / communities / cities that live on completely different continents or tiny islands in the middle of nowhere. It's seriously insane how humans are willing to live anywhere. If you're into music, there are a ton of great channels on YouTube. Rick Beato does a lot of music and song analyzes. Alex Ball has done some documentaries about Roland and the Prophet's synthesizers. All really interesting history and information. True Cuckoo is a dude who has a ton of videos about synthesizers, drum machines and jams. Not to mention tutorials. There's so much that you can learn. I started with guitar and recently I got into synths and drum machines, and YouTube is a great place to get to learn from plenty of talented people. I missed a ton, but I guess you can do the exploring yourself.